Hi, this is Sandra and welcome to Cooking and Crafts. Thank you so much for joining me today, and also a huge thanks to the wonderful people here at the Varnell Community Center. Let me give you just a brief preview of what we're going to do. I'm going to start talking about some very useful kitchen tips. Also, we're going to do some Christmas decorations. You know, no matter if it's winter, spring, summer, or fall, it's never too late, too early to start doing some Christmas decorations. And then we're going to talk about we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to make a wonderful dessert. It's got some candy in it and some cake, so you can't go wrong. Join me back and we'll get started in just a second.
Hi, I'm Johnny Miller at your Western Sizzlin' in Ooltewah, Tennessee and Dalton, Georgia, and I can tell you that infomercials work. We've been advertising monthly to reach our customers for over 17 years now, and I know that you can reach your customers as well. You can depend on Elliott Media to take care of all your advertising needs, and remember, Western Sizzlin', we're your family steakhouse.
When you're in the market for a new or scratch and dent appliance, Langford Appliance is the place to come. We're a locally owned business for over 30 years serving this area. Don't let your dollars go out of town. When you buy your appliances from Langford, your money stays right here in Dalton, and you can always count on us for the best service after the sale. We have a large parts and service department for all your appliance repairs or plumbing and hot water needs. Come see us when you're in need of any appliance. That's Langford Appliance at 319 North Glenwood Avenue in Dalton.
Hi, this is Sandra again, and welcome back to Cooking and Crafts. At first, I'm going to show you some wonderful tips for cooking in the kitchen, and hopefully you can take these and use them at home and then just add your own twist to it. I guess my number one thing to tell you is before you start cooking a recipe, make sure you have all your ingredients together. You know, get out your flour, your sugar, your eggs, whatever, your margarine. There's nothing worse than when you started cooking and you've already got a couple of things mixed up and you go to your pantry or your refrigerator and then you realize you have no eggs. So, you know, cooking now is so expensive that you really can't afford to just throw all that stuff away. So I guess my number one tip is have everything out before you start, and it makes life a lot easier. Here's some other tips that I've found that really work well. This is applesauce. In most baked products, where it be brownies, some kind of cookies, if you will substitute applesauce for the oil that's in that recipe, you really can't tell the difference. And it's measurement by measurement. For instance, when I make brownies, and I do use a box of brownie recipe, when I take it, it may call for a half a cup of oil. Leave that oil out and add a half a cup of applesauce. It's the same amount, just don't add the oil and add the applesauce. Now I will say that I have made one cookie recipe that the applesauce did not substitute well for the oil. So, you know, you might want to try it first at home before you start taking it out to a family get-together. But for most things that I've found, the applesauce works great. It actually makes it a little bit moist. The calories are a lot less than the oil, and it's just a little bit more nutritious for you. I have a box of foil, wax paper, saran wrap, it doesn't matter. If you will look on every end of the foil, the wax paper, the saran wrap, there's like a little tab. If you will push the tab in on the ends, what that does is when you're using the foil or the wax paper, it will keep that roll from coming out of the box. I used to teach school and my kids would use something in a box, like especially wax paper. And we would look up and the wax paper will be out of the box and it will be rolling around on the floor. Well, of course we have to get rid of that because you don't want to use the paper after it's been on the floor. So if you will push this tab in and then when you rip your paper out, it stays in the box and it doesn't wind up coming out. This is a tip that I found actually from a friend of my daughter. Have you ever been to a restaurant? This is sort of like eating out, but you could do it at home. And they give you a napkin and you put your drink on it. And then you have iced tea or you have Coke and it sweats a little bit. And then when you pick up your glass, your napkin is stuck to the bottom of your glass. Well, to prevent that, if you'll just get a salt shaker, put you just a little bit of salt on your napkin, then set your glass on top of it. The glass will not adhere to the napkin and you can pick it up and your napkin won't be stuck to the bottom of the glass. Also, paprika. If you've never used paprika in your flour when you're doing fried chicken, I highly suggest you try it. Paprika gives the chicken coating just a little bit of a golden color. And what you do is just get your flour out, just put you a couple of dashes of paprika in, take you a fork or a spoon and mix it up, and then dip your chicken, of course, in your egg mixture or milk and then in your flour. And when you cook it, the crust of your chicken will just be sort of a golden brown. And paprika adds no calories, so that's an extra benefit. I love the little mini muffin pans. What I do is I take the mini muffin pans, put the liners in it, and I put cake in there or cake batter. It has these mini cupcakes. I put brownies in here. And it's just a wonderful bite-sized piece of your dessert or whatever you're going to use. And it seems like you can still have that treat, but you just don't go overboard by eating the half pound of brownies. You can just have a couple of these. And you can buy these mini little cupcake liners at the grocery store. And you can also get the mini cake pan too at the grocery store also. And yes, I do use box cake mixes. And here's my tip for that. When you take your ingredients out, save your box, and then when you put the eggs in it and you've got the egg shells, stuff them down in the box. It's right there with you. You don't make a mess going to the garbage can or the sink. And then when you get through, you can throw this whole thing away. Also, the paper that's inside, you can save that paper to use it as wax paper. You can also put your hand in the bag that's in here and you can grease your pan. So the box cake mix not only tastes great, but you can also use the plastic that's inside or the wax paper that's inside plus the box. Lettuce. My family, we use lettuce constantly, and I have found a way to make it last longer. When you get it home from the grocery store, take it out of the little plastic container. Of course, always rinse it off and dry it. And then on the bottom where the core is, if you will just take your thumb and go in and rip the core out. Because what happens is moisture collects in that core. And then it will stay longer in your refrigerator. You won't have to go buy new lettuce after a couple of days. I have containers at home that I store my lettuce in, but the best thing for me is I take a huge bag and I put a paper towel in the bottom of it. And I put my lettuce in it. And what that paper towel does is that it absorbs any moisture that's left over from my lettuce. And then my lettuce will stay fresher because the moisture doesn't stay here, it goes down to the paper towel. And you know, every once in a while, maybe every other day, you might want to change this paper towel and throw this one away and get you a clean one that's completely dry. And your lettuce will last longer. I really learned this from my home ec teacher when I was in high school. We would cook spaghetti and then we couldn't get it in the pan, and then when we ate it, you know, we had to twirl it around our fork or whatever. Cut your spaghetti or break it in two, and that way you have those wonderful bite-sized pieces. Store your eggs in the container that it comes in. And one last tip, do you ever have those plastic containers that you put a tomato base with it? Spray it with some oil before you put those leftover spaghetti sauces in there, the leftover lasagna, and your container will not take that orangey ready look. I hope you've got some great tips. Hope you use them at home, and I'll be back with some wonderful Christmas decorations.
Cancer. It's a word you don't want to hear. But if you do, you want the most advanced surgical, radiation, and chemotherapy treatment available. The Hamilton Regional Cancer Institute at Hamilton Medical Center has a proven record of successful outcomes. Personalized plans of care are developed through individual histology, biomarker, and genomic testing, and through collaboration between Hamilton's team of experts. We are here for you. Hamilton Regional Cancer Institute. Your health is our mission.
Have you ever wondered why you cannot achieve a flat tummy like you had when you were a teenager? In spite of exercise, it seems like you're getting nowhere. It could be that you've had children and it's just impossible to achieve without having surgery. With a procedure called an abdominoplasty, we have specialized techniques that can repair the damage that has been done with the pregnancy or the weight loss. We can help you to achieve a flatter, tighter tummy like you had in your younger years.
We are this close.
We're this close.
We are this close.
Of wanting
to making history.
This close to changing the world.
We are this close.
This close. This close to making sure no child suffers a crippling disease
ever again. This close.
We are this close to ending polio.
Ending polio. All we need is you.
This close.
If we don't act now, we may lose this chance forever. Help Rotary make history at endpolionow.org.
Hey, welcome back to Cooking and Crafts, and I have a great suggestion for holiday decorations, especially Christmas. You know, it doesn't really matter if it's summer, winter, spring, or fall. You can decorate for Christmas anytime. Right before Christmas, everything's out in the store. You have a great selection to choose from. Right after Christmas, everything's on sale. So you can go and make it and have it for next year. And my family and I, we do a lot of things during the summer. It's so hot sometimes you can't get outside, so we get our glue gun and we get started. So I have 3 or 4 very simple things to tell you. This is just a goblet that has a stem. And we're going to turn it into a festive decoration that you can put a candle on the top of it. So what I like to do is I like to turn it upside down. I have my trusty glue gun, can't live without it. This does get hot, so be careful, and if you're having children use this, make sure you're supervising. I just took the little peppermints that are wrapped in the little plastic cellophane, just take those off. I'm gonna put just a little bit of glue on the back, and I'm just gonna glue it wherever I want to on my glass. You can use as many of these as you want. You can use as few as you want to because it's just totally up to you. As I'm using my glue gun, I have a piece of foil underneath it because sometimes my glue gun wants to run out when I'm not using it, and you don't want to get glue on the counter because it may ruin it, and then it's very hard to get off. And I like to just take a ribbon, and you can take any color, any size, and I just went ahead and cut it ahead of time, and I just like to tie a little knot in it and put my ribbon around the glass. And like I said, you can do tons more peppermints on it, and then just put your glass on the top. Underneath the glass, you could put flowers, or you could put tissue paper or anything else to make it colorful. And you could even get different heights of glasses, and you could use 2 or 3 in a setting. Sometimes even numbers look good, but odd numbers really just stand out. So like 3 or 5 tends to look a little bit more interesting in a group setting than just 2 or 4. So that's simple to make. Anybody can do that. I love canning jar rings. In fact, my mom has tons at home. These are the ones for the wide mouth jars, but I have some just for the regular jars. I got these from my mom, and she's had them for years, and they've just sort of turned over time. So what I did first was I washed them and scrubbed them and made sure that they're all good and clean. And then I need 2 of them. And I had these little holly berries just in my drawer at home in my sewing room, my arts and craft drawer. And I just took a little pair of wire snips and I just cut off just a little bit of the berries. To me, something less is better than something that you decorate and put tons of stuff on it. So I guess my motto is less is better, or less is more. And you will need 2 rings. And what I did was I went to the back of this inside and I just put a little dot of the hot glue, and where I cut my little berries off, I just stuck it to the top, because I want to put something in it. And to me, it's easier to go ahead and do that first. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue the rings together this way. And again, I'm working over some foil, so hopefully I won't get my counter all yucky. You need to be very careful that this doesn't get on the outside. And also, I'm not going to do this everywhere. If I find that it doesn't stick, I can come back and maybe take it apart and add a little bit more. But this hot glue is fairly adhesive, and I think it's going to stick pretty well. And my container is not that big. So what I've done is I've glued that together. I've got some ribbon. I'm going to loop around it. And I have made a Christmas ornament. And like I said, you can use the large one or you can use these small ones. And I think it's going to take just a second for that glue to set up. And I like the turned look of the rust or the little broken off pieces of the canning jar or canning lid on this one. To me, it looks a little bit better than the ones that are brand new out of the jar. And you can put flowers in it, you can put a picture in it, you can put anything in it. So that's something very easy too. Another thing that I found good to do is just take your former Christmas cards that you've had. And what I did was I just got a hole punch and I put a hole in the top of it. And then I just got some ribbon, and you can have any kind of ribbon. You could put small, you could put wide, and I just threaded it through the top. And I'm going to hang these around my Christmas tree. Sometimes I'll have a Christmas tree in the kitchen, and then I like to decorate it with just cards that I've had left over through the years. The final thing I want to show you is I've gotten a cookie cutter. And you can take metal. I just happen to have this plastic one already at home. I got a picture, and what I did was I put the picture down. You want to make sure that your picture is large enough for your cookie cutter. And I just took a regular ink pen and I traced it around the side of my picture. I just took it, and you can see where I've already trimmed it off here. And I just trimmed it around to make sure that it matched my cookie cutter. And I'm just going to hot glue this onto my picture. And I'm going to use the big side to put it down with, because the side that you actually cut with, it's a little small, and sometimes my glue doesn't want to adhere to that. So, and sometimes if you're using a glue gun and you have strands of the glue that comes everywhere, don't worry, because when that cools, you can peel that off. And I'm just going to put this right on top of my picture, maneuver it around so I get it looking pretty good. If it's not spot on it, you can trim it off later. This cookie cutter happens to have a place that I can put my ribbon in at the top, so I could take my ribbon and string through here too. And you could make these as gifts to give people. You could make them for your family members. You could do a lot of stuff. And like I said, right here where it's not exactly even, I can take my scissors and I can trim that down. It's a little bit better to have a little bit more and trim it down than to make your picture a little bit smaller and then you have holes in the inside. But like I said, metal cookie cutters work too. So go out and make your candle holders, glue your peppermints on it. You can also put some shellac on top of your peppermints that would make them last and they wouldn't crack. Try the cannon rings for an ornament. Save your Christmas cards that you've had from years past, because it's just good to look at it and frame your cookie cutters. I'll be back in just a second and we'll do a wonderful dessert.
Hi, I'm Johnny Miller at your Western Sizzlin' in Ooltewah, Tennessee and Dalton, Georgia, and I can tell you that infomercials work. We've been advertising monthly to reach our customers for over 17 years now, and I know that you can reach your customers as well. You can depend on Elliott Media to take care of all your advertising needs, and remember, Western Sizzlin', we're your family steakhouse.
When you're in the market for a new or scratch and dent appliance, Langford Appliance is the place to come. We're a locally owned business for over 30 years serving this area. Don't let your dollars go out of town. When you buy your appliances from Langford, your money stays right here in Dalton, and you can always count on us for the best service after the sale. We have a large parts and service department for all your appliance repairs or plumbing and hot water needs. Come see us when you're in need of any appliance. That's Langford Appliance at 319 North Glenwood Avenue in Dalton.
Your family depends on you to be healthy. That is why you depend on Hamilton. Hamilton Diagnostic Center's advanced imaging technology provides superior image quality with reduced radiation exposure. Each image is analyzed by Hamilton's on-site team of specialty radiologists in close correlation with our surgeons, allowing for same-day results. We're here for you. Hamilton Diagnostic Center. Your health is our mission.
Have you ever heard the term, your eyes are your expressions, the windows to your soul? But when your eyelids look tired and they start to sag, it will make you look much older than you actually are. There is a simple surgical procedure called a blepharoplasty or eyelid tuck, which can help to rejuvenate and redefine the contours around your eyelids. It will even improve your fields of vision, and a portion may even be covered by insurance. We can help redefine how others see you.
Hi, this is Sandra again, and welcome back to Cooking and Crafts. And as you can see, I've definitely saved the best to the last. I'm going to make a dessert that's wonderful. It's called a Butterfinger dessert. And I got this from my mother-in-law, and I think you'll love it. I'm sort of making a mini version, but I'm going to give you the recipe to the whole version because you'll want to make it because you won't have anything left. In a mixing bowl, you need to take 4 ounces of cream cheese. I just get the block and I just cut it in two because it's an 8-ounce block, and just cut it in two, and you want to use half of it, the 4 ounce. And I've already mixed this together with 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. Powdered sugar is the creamy stuff, not creamy stuff, but it's the mixed up stuff. It looks like a powder, and they've already blended it, and it's what you make desserts and icings with. So you mix your powdered sugar and your cream cheese together. You definitely want to use a mixer. And I've already done that step, and I have it in my bowl here. In another mixing bowl, you want to add a box of instant pudding, and I use vanilla. You could go with a different flavor, but I just tend to like the vanilla. And I have put the pudding, the dry pudding, I have put it in my bowl. Also, you want to add a cup of milk. I tend to use fat-free skim milk. I think it's the extra calories that I'm saving. And then you want to put a whole container of a whipped topping. And again, I use vanilla. I don't think you'd probably want the chocolate kind. So you're going to put that in your bowl, and we're going to take my mixer and we're going to mix it up. It doesn't take but just a second. Make sure that your whipped topping is at room temperature, it's not frozen, and that way you'll have a little bit better success of mixing it up. And I like to put my messy stuff on a paper towel, that way I don't have a bunch to clean up. Oh, and another container, and if you're going to make all this, you can put it in a huge bowl. I like to put it in some kind of container that has a lid on it, but you can really put it in anything. But I'm making single servings today. I love to do this in a mason jar. You could put it in different mason jars and people could have their own serving. You probably have some little containers at home that maybe you use a lot or you never use. Today I'm going to put it in just a single serving here of one of my dishes. You're going to get a sponge cake or an angel food cake, and I have already cut this off, and I'm just going to make a single layer. And if you're going to make this in a big bowl, you can make multi-layers, but today we'll just do the simple version. And you just tear this cake up, and you're just going to put it in your bowl. And that looks like that's a pretty good amount there. Okay? And you're going to take your pudding mixture, and you're going to spoon it on top of your cake. You can't get much better than this, believe me. And you can put as much and as little as you want. And we want to make sure we get it down all in those crevices. If you think you need a little bit more cake, you can add a little bit more cake to it. I have taken Butterfingers. I just like the bite-sized bars. You can get the large bars. I put them in, and I used about 2 or 3 of these. I put them in a Ziploc bag, and I just took my fingers and I just smushed them up. And what you want to do is you want to sprinkle those Butterfingers over your dessert. And you can put as much on here, or you can put as little as you want. Now, sometimes what I do for my family is I make mine in a huge container. So I'll do 1 layer of this, and then I'll come back and I will put more cake on the top. I will put more pudding on it, because you definitely want to use all this. You don't want to keep it in the bowl to wash down the drain. And you want to make a second layer. This is a lot for 1 serving, but at my house we could probably eat this. And then you want to put some more Butterfinger on the top. Because the more layers you make, the more it gets in and it saturates that great cake, and the pudding gets mixed in with it, and it's absolutely wonderful. I would say that you probably want to refrigerate this. If you can stand it overnight, at least 2 or 3 hours to let everything get really cold and really chilled. And again, to let the cake be saturated by all that good pudding and all that Butterfinger taste. If I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, I would definitely put something on top of it, like a clear wrap or some wax paper or some foil. I just don't want to put it in the refrigerator just like this. This is one that I made late yesterday afternoon, and you can see sort of how everything is sort of set up and the taste of all the flavors have got mixed together. So go try this. You can actually substitute different candy bars for it if you want to. This is a quick and easy dessert, and I promise you will actually have nothing left and people will be asking for seconds. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you take the topics that we talked about and you make them your own, and I'll see you next time.
To advertise your business on TV, contact Elliott Media at 706-529-4237.